that when you think of any of these brands, whether they're on your phone, whether you see them on a sign, like this one, you probably recognize a lot of these parts of logos, right? You can take a quick look here. Probably some of them are familiar to you, some of them might not be. Some of you may have smartphones with some of these app icons on them, and they represent a piece of software that represents a product, that represents a brand. There are many of these, but as consumers, let's just talk about ourselves as consumers, sometimes we can associate a logo with a feeling, right? Whether you like it or don't like it, whether you think positively or negatively about it, whether you care or not. But what I'm showing on the screen is corporate identity design, okay? Logos, corporate identity systems. So as I mentioned, our organization, we do a lot of corporate identity design. Sometimes we're starting from scratch, helping startups come up with a logo, doing corporate work. Sometimes we're revamping existing corporate identities, helping them modernize, or they're changing their brand position or something like that. In addition to corporate work, we do a lot of work at the consumer level for restaurant and retail. Right now we're working on our 58th or 59th restaurant brand. They're a lot of fun to do because people see it at every level, the street level type of visibility. But Wall to Wall actually got our start working with nonprofit organizations in Pittsburgh. And then I took that same approach when I moved to Honolulu 10 years ago. And so we're very familiar with working with corporate, with consumer, with retail, and nonprofit. But the thing that I want you to take away from this is your logo is not your brand, okay? So what is the brand? Here's one way we like to think about what a brand is, okay? If you can't see it, I'll read it for you. Your brand is what people say about your organization when you are not around. Your brand is what people say about your organization when you're not around, okay? So think about that for a second. All those things I asked those people, someone said they liked Apple, and then a couple people chimed in, and all those things that you guys just brought up. It's cool, it's simple to use, beautiful interface, I own stock, or it's a political thing, whatever you decide, when Apple is not around to change that opinion, we can consider this as the brand. It's no longer that the corporation owns the brand. Think about social media. Think about public opinion, think about news media. You can't own your brand anymore. You can help to shape it and define it and help to shape the perception, but if you don't do your job right, it's what people are going to say about your organization when you're not there, okay? So when we get asked to do this kind of thing, we try to think about being brand driven. Right? Everything that we try to tell our clients to do when they come to us for this type of exercise is it's not a beauty makeover, it's not a logo, it's not a website design, right? Those are parts of the brand. But the brand in sum total is almost like your corporation's personality. It's your corporation's mood. It's the way you speak to people. It's the way you answer the phone. It's the way you treat a customer when they have a really, really valid complaint about something you did, right? Going back to the guy with the mohawk in that first slide, what makes you different? Brands are kind of like people. Here's a quote I'm going to read to you. Every brand has its core, a substance that gives it strength. You have to understand it before you can grow it. Okay? So this was said by a guy who's way smarter than me. His name is Scott Bedbury. He used to be brand manager for these two little companies called Nike and then Starbucks. So I think he kind of understands it in some way. So we try to help clients understand their brands from the inside out. We don't look at all the clothing that the brand wears yet. We don't look at the logo and the website. Those are kind of the last things we look at. But we try to understand, like, what is it that you're doing as an organization? When a consultant like our team comes in to meet with you, we're never going to be as expert at what you do than you are. So we spend a lot of time understanding what you do, asking dumb questions as outsiders. You know, we work with tech companies that are way smarter than we are. We work with retailers. We work with nonprofits, and they all are really, really focused at what they do best. So we have to quickly learn what they do, just enough that we can reinterpret some things with a fresh perspective, right? So we use a couple of terms in this process, and you know, you can find these terms online and you can have slightly different definitions of it, perfectly fine. But just for the sake of today's discussion, I'm going to talk about a few things. Brand, which you talked about. One way you can think about this is like the core promise of your organization. Right? What people say about you, what you believe in. Branding. Branding. These are the things, the signals that you send that reinforce this. How you answer the phone, how you treat customers, the language you use on your website, the language you use in a brochure. Do you even have a brochure? Do you need one? How do you communicate? Through social media? How, you know? And all of those bits and pieces are part of a bigger brand strategy. It's like the plan that puts these kinds of things together. Right? So there's a brand that's kind of you and what you believe in. Branding, the signals that you use, and then a strategy. Hopefully you have a plan, and the plan should continue to evolve. You make a plan today, and the landscape in marketing might be changing in a few years, and we have to kind of adjust. A couple of other things I'm going to talk about. Personality. The expression or tone of your brand experience as your audience perceives it invites them to engage. So the personality is how you externally kind of demonstrate your brand. Oh, that brand is really serious. Oh, that brand cares about the environment. Oh, that brand is really silly. Oh, that brand is really cool or funny or whatever, high tech. Those are external things. And then internally, you have brand values. You might have a mission statement. Values are the core of the organization's belief system that guide the behavior of everyone and everything. So these are the internal things that you all agree to. You say, this is what we are going to believe in. Okay? So when we help clients to kind of boil some of this down into some new language, you know, we're not trying to craft their mission statement. That's something you guys do. We're really talking about a brand promise or a brand positioning. Many brands that you admire personally will probably have some, at the core of what they do, some sort of brand promise. We like to think of them as three things. One, we think it should be simple. Two, it should be unique. And three, it should be relevant. Simple, unique, and relevant. Right. And we can break that down further. When we communicate this, there are times when we talk to a nonprofit and they're very engaged in this very specific niche industry, and we first ask them, what do you do? They talk about all the unique, relevant points, but they kind of can't get to the simple part, right? So we try to help them think about the way they message in this kind of pyramid shape. We're at the top, we start with the simple, then we broaden our message to make it unique, and then we add some relevancy to it. What do I mean? So, okay, I'm gonna pick on a volunteer since you're sitting right in front of me. Hi, I'm Bernard, and you are?
Michael.
Michael. Where do you work?
Easter Seals Hawaii.
Easter Seals Hawaii. What is Easter Seals Hawaii?
We're one of the largest providers of disability services.
One of the largest providers. Okay. What else do you do?
We provide early intervention services to children under the age of 3 and
Okay.
with mental and developmental disabilities.
Why did you join this organization? Why do you believe in this organization?
It's a hard question.
I know, it's a hard question.
Well, I think they do good work, and the nature of the position I entered was what I was looking for personally. in my
Yeah, just like why,
career
just
path.
if you can boil it down, why do you like Easter Seals?
We have a large amount of community-based providers, and I really think that they genuinely care about what they do.
Okay.
And they work really hard to help people with disabilities. And my personal favorite part of the company, even though we offer a large amount of services, are our employment services division.
Okay.
That's helping people with developmental mental disabilities to find jobs in the community. And
Okay.
to me, that's my personal favorite service area.
Okay. What do you hope the organization will achieve, like in 5 words or less, someday? If everything goes right, what do you hope would happen? 5 words or less. 5 words. It's a tough one.
People with disabilities achieve empowerment.
People with disabilities achieve empowerment. Okay, so imagine you having this cocktail conversation with someone you just